Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Expansive CEO Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman, with my co-host, Lauren Ammon. We're
Hi,
here
friends.
together, and we've been talking this month so far about the Regenerative Wealth Program. We've been talking about discovery, alignment, and expansion, and what those mean. So definitely go back and listen. Those are the three episodes before this. Listen. We really talk through a lot of how the process works, um, how we go through it, why it matters, all of those things. And today we want to talk about some of the, common misconceptions people have about where they need to be before they can start getting support or before they can kind of dive into the process. So some of those things that you might be thinking, you might see yourself reflected in, um, and just, yeah, where that support actually can come to meet you.
Mhm.
So what's up for you this week, Lauren? What's going on?
Well, I think this is a really important topic because the misconceptions can be the starting point of where we don't take action or we don't seek support. And that's where we oftentimes make it really more stressful for ourselves because we believe these things. And so we tend to continue to put them off because it's the stories that we keep telling ourselves. And these are often the first starting points, right? Because transformation is something that is ongoing. It's not something that's a point in time. It is an evolving process. And there are multiple points of transformation along the broader path of transformation. And the first one being having the courage to face the misconception, kind of see yourself in it, and then decide, okay, how do I then move myself forward to move myself into transformation and potentially get through the discomfort in order to find comfort on the other side?
Yes. Yes. Or even beyond comfort on the other side, it's like, how do I grow and believe that I'm strong enough?
Yes.
Like, oh, that actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that's hilarious to me, is that most of the time, like the vast majority of my clients are like, "Oh, it's not that bad. But
Yeah.
that wasn't as painful as I thought it would be."
Yes.
I know.
Yes. I,
And
I actually just had that conversation with my older son. He's 15. He's at these inflection points of his life that he's got a lot, responsibilities coming and it's not going anywhere. And you have to, take life by the horns and kind of figure it out. And I had that exact conversation with him of like the angst that you're creating by not facing 99.9% of the time is harder than just doing the thing. Whatever the thing is, or being a part of the thing, or getting through the thing. Keeping yourself from going through the thing is often harder than actually doing it.
yes. Yeah. And that applies perfectly, especially when we're talking
Yes.
about money.
Yes.
Is what we're talking about a lot, right? So, just as a reminder for everyone who's listening, the Regenerative Wealth Program is happening. We're going to do a live cohort. We're super excited to deliver this live and bring this information into a space where we can have that dialogue, the back and forth, the open questions. Um, Also, give you that human design reading, give you that one-on-one integration session. All of that is coming, and the links are in the show notes to go check out that. You can jump on my calendar or Lauren's calendar for a a clarity call, and understand if it's the right thing for you. And we'd love to support you in that. And we're going to go over. I'm going to list out the three questions, or the three misconceptions. Just kind of map out where we're gonna go. So the first one is, I should be able to figure this out myself. I'm a smart person. I should be able to do this. Not everyone, again, most of my clients have had at least some of this, right? Like, I should be able to do this, right? The second one is, everything is so messy. I feel like it's so bad that I have to clean it up before I can let anyone else see it. What's tied up in that one? Guilt and shame. It's a lot of that, like, oh, this is like really hard to let someone else see. And then the third one is, you know what? You might even know, like, yeah, it's messy. Um, I actually don't feel guilt or shame about that anymore, but I feel so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's a lot. I just want to close the door.
Yes.
The room is so messy that I can't even figure out the space, and if we close the door, we don't see it. So that even putting it into that metaphor of, a messy house that you got to clean up is a good way to like frame this, because our financial house feels a lot like that. So let's dive in. Why do you feel like you should be able to figure it out yourself? Let's start there. When you're like, I can figure this out myself, right? What does that look like? And Lauren, let's talk on the human design side first, because there's a lot out there.
Yes. Well, there is a lot out there. And okay, let's just start with the process. You get a reading or you just start diving into human design and someone gives you some insights into terms of what it means and some of the snippets that we've shared on the podcast. And it's kind of like, "Oh, well, I can piece this all together. I'm smart enough to organize information and help it make sense." And so you start going down the path and you order different books. So you start following different people on the internet. And that was kind of my journey. Was I just started kind of watching people and just kind of learning in terms of their interpretation. And then I would read different accounts or follow different accounts and I was like, wait, those things don't they're not the same. Right. The interpretation is different, which is a part of the human experience, right? But it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm smart enough to put this together. And I've heard snippets of it. Okay, but when you put it together, okay, but that's not making sense. And human design is so detailed and goes so deep. But the challenge with that is that you go deep to figure out what it means, and you've got to raise it back up on the surface to look at it from a bigger picture. Because the majority of humans just want, like, okay, tell me what it means. And that becomes well, yes, I'm smart enough to figure this out. But oftentimes when you're unaware of what the details really mean in the background, when you kind of bring it back together and blend it into the bigger picture, it's kind of like, yeah, that's not what that means at all. And so then you start feeling, then kind of the guilt and shame of like, well, oh God, am I smart enough to put this together? Am I, and so then you kind of go down this rabbit hole and then you're like, well, it's all too complicated. So whatever, I'm just going to leave it and come back to it or not ever come back to it. When really, yes, you are a brilliant human being in your own right, but your wheelhouse just may not be to dig so far into the details to understand how the elements really come together to be able to see it for yourself in a way that makes sense.
Mhm.
That's where support comes in.
Yeah.
That's where you look at somebody who you jive with, however they present the information makes sense to you. Then start leaning in to say, okay, what are the details behind the scenes really matter? And how do you bring those together to actually make sense of it, to do something, or maybe not necessarily do something with it, but experiment with it in order to see what it truly means for you.
Yep, that was my process as well. I mean, like, when I latch on to something, I'm like, I have to know everything about this, right?
Yep.
I would wake up at like 6 a.m., 5 a.m. on a Saturday and be like thinking about like, oh wait, there's this thing I need to go like research that. And there's so many resources online that you can search like lots of details, but again, like bringing it together. Like, I had a Word document with just like notes and like pages and pages of notes of like what I was finding and like trying to like beautiful mind it on my own, really. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And I just kept seeing on my chart, which I've shared a lot of time, like I share it all the time. It's fine. I don't really care. But my throat, my G center, and my sacral are all connected, and they're connected multiple times in multiple ways. And that to me kept screaming at like, this is interesting and important, and there's something important about this, and I can't figure out what it is. But it like just seeing it, I knew that there was something special about how I'm connected through my G center. And then I also have a defined spleen and ego. I have that circuit as well. That that connection straight up through the middle. I was like, I can't figure it out. So I was looking on Reddit of all places, and someone was there that was teaching, and I was like, oh well, yeah, I would love to take you up on the offer to dive into it. And so I worked with someone for quite a while to help me understand, someone who had been through, the human design analyst process and done training and things like that. And it was what I needed to help me actually like get on the path of like, okay, what do I do with this? What do I actually do with this?
Mhm.
And looking back, like that was what I needed
Yes.
to be able to actually implement with it. It was not something that I was going to get to easily on my own. And then Lauren took it even a step further to get fully certified herself.
Yes. And that was my journey. It was kind of like during my initial reading, one of the first things she said was, "You have nothing to prove in this life," and that has been a central theme for me. And it was kind of like, oh, well, if she can see that, what does that really mean? Where does that come from? And it truly has been a journey of support and hearing, in my journey of becoming a certified analyst, of multiple people's perspectives of what the chart really means, and then being able to filter that through my own lens. Now I am okay, now I know what to put together because I've seen it from a different point of view and I've had the support from an outside perspective that gives clues, and then, oh, I see how it all meshes together, and I can make sense of it. But it's because I've had the support through that process.
Right. Right. And also through the study of this, like knowing, okay, what are the things that we can share more overview, like more broadly. Yes, there are details, we can share details, but what are the things that are actually going to help you take action based on what's coming up for you? What's actually happening in your life? Like where is that coming? That's where, people have had where I've been asked like a lot of times actually to like go into like human design coaching and things like that. And I'm like, because I can intuitively see and sense like what's the thing. Like someone will be like talking and like sharing a challenge that is coming up, and it's like whatever it is, that intuitive hit of like, look here. It's this center, it's this gate, it's this channel, it's this, it's connected to this area. And just like moving in that way. And over time, what I mean, like, well, that's not what I'm not here to be in that role as like that's the thing that I do. That's not why I'm here. But it is a really important and impactful addition to what I do. And so, and then for you, I feel like it's almost the same in that way, is that like your brain is so organizational and operational. And then the human design gets to be this beautiful like layer that comes in to help support all of that as well. Is that, I'm speaking for you right now.
No, and that's okay. Play with my open G. Goodness gracious, give me direction, or at least set a direction, and I'll follow it if I want to. Um, or it's correct for me is probably the better way of saying that. Uh, w- what I recognized in all of this is going through my own journey of, yes, I should be smart enough to put this together. That was a limiting belief that I held when I first started this. And to say that, yeah, but the connection of others through the process is part of the journey, and it's what deepens my own intelligence to continue to figure this out. But yes, human design provides a very logical, unemotional way of looking at the human experience and providing a foundation for how where things start. And the beauty of it is where they go. That's the part about you're smart enough to figure out, is that once you have the understanding, you're very much smart enough to figure out what you can do with it. But it's all about the support along the way, is that, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go with a team or go with support. It's that old adage. And that's where kind of the root of, yeah, you're smart enough, but do you have to go it alone? And I'll say this as anybody who's a left angle, and listener, if you're out there, if your profile is a heretic investigator or 5'1", or you're a heretic hermit 5'2", or you're a role model hermit 6'2", or you're a role model martyr 6'3", your journey is about the paths you cross with other people and the important interactions and connections you have with life. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody else isn't about that. It's just that your purpose and path in life is more personal than it is transpersonal. But the same thing is related to business and money, right? It's that idea of, well, I should be smart enough to figure out how to organize my finances once I start running my business. And utilizing the fairly predominant of working in a W-2 kind of role, or something similar, where, the money is coming to you and taxes are taken out and you don't have to worry about those things. And then it just goes to different retirement accounts and you don't see it and it just does the thing. And so you think to yourself, when you take on the beautiful messiness of owning your own business, of like, I got this. I totally know. Okay, I can just translate the same kind of concept, and then you get into it, and you're like, yeah, I see what I did there.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. And like, yes, the concepts and the organization is the same, but there's certainly different nuances that you have to think about. There's a different kind of connection, but there's also a way to set the structure that you don't have to feel so overwhelmed. And there is literally no shame in going to someone and being like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Can you please support me? I want to make this easier on myself because I know that money will be coming in. And maybe you know that you haven't been great at managing money. That's, again, okay. And, being able to lean on someone and saying, again, someone who creates a space for it to feel okay to not know what the heck you're doing, and say, okay, yeah, we got you. We'll support you. This is what we do. This is our wheelhouse. This is what we spend time building our expertise in. You spent your expertise in, I'm just making this up, right? Branding or marketing or whatever. Yeah, you continue to do that. We'll help you behind the back end of how you organize your money.
Yeah. Yes. And when talking about money, thank you for transitioning so smoothly to that. It's like the clients that come in, I mean, I literally work with CFOs as well, right? Like fractional CFOs, like I work with them on the personal money management side. These are people who are also really good at finance, really good with numbers, really like not afraid of money. But even the personal side of money is a whole different ball game, and they know, right? That's one of the things that's maybe a little bit easier with a lot of people who are in that role, or people who are tax accountants or CPAs. It's like they know how deeply they need to know their subject, and they have sort of that professional respect for, oh, so the, CFP side is like also as deep as they are on theirs, that's how deep I am on the personal side. So just to say that even other financial professionals need help with this stuff. Other financial professionals, let's say CPAs, bookkeepers, when they're starting their own practice, don't necessarily know how to set up their own business finances. They know bookkeeping and accounting and controlling and, all of that, but being able to, okay, how do I get all of the money into one place and then pay myself? How do I figure out the right pricing so that, again, I can have more freedom than when I was in a corporate role rather than less? All of that comes from being able to price your services accordingly, understand the scope of what you're going to do, have, beautiful boundaries around what that means, right? What is your scope and what does it look like if you need to work with someone beyond that? And then being able to pay yourself. And Lauren, like you said, being able to not, no one else is going to pay your taxes for you. You now have to pay both sides of Social Security and Medicare taxes. You have to pay your federal and state and local and whatever else is coming up. How do you create a system that holds all of that? It's a lot to figure out.
Mhm.
And to have to the other piece that can be nerve-wracking for people, that people can have anxiety around, is like, if I do it wrong, like, there are real consequences on the financial side. If I do it wrong, I'm gonna get in trouble with the IRS. I'm gonna get in trouble with the state. I'm gonna get in trouble with, like, that fe some people have that feeling just all the time, like, where am I in trouble now?" Right? So we wanna give you the absolute best foot forward, the foundation that's gonna help you not to make those mistakes
Yeah.
that do have actual, like, real world consequences and costs.
Yeah. And it comes back to the misconception is I should be smart enough to figure this out. One, you probably very much are. You're an intelligent human being. No doubt that if you dug as deep as you need to figure this out, you could. But it goes back to something that we've talked about a lot, is that just because you can say yes, or just because you have the potential to figure it out, doesn't necessarily mean that's correct for you. And giving all of your energy to figuring this one thing out because you believe that you're smart enough to do so, you're taking yourself away from the yeses in the realm of the things you actually are here to do.
Yes.
You're redirecting your energy in your in creating stress and resistance for yourself because you're convincing yourself that there's the should. And then you feel guilt and blame kind of or maybe guilt under the surface of like, well, because I can, then I probably should. And so like, and then you're literally creating more stress and resistance for yourself and taking yourself away from the things that you're actually really good at, the things that you love to do, the things that actually pull people into you because of having a genius in that respect, where you're redirecting all of this into something that you just feel like you should be doing because you're intelligent.
Ugh, so good. I have a client who's literally a neuroscientist, um, brilliant, absolutely brilliant
Yeah.
woman, and that was the part of it for her. She's like, on the investment side, she's like, I feel like I should be able to figure this out, and I just don't want to. I'm like, yeah, yeah, you don't have to. Like, exactly what you're saying. If you pour that energy instead into the work that you actually want to do, like, we'll get you to your goals faster and more easily than if you sat there trying to figure out what stocks you should be investing in. That takes time. It literally takes time. It takes energy. It takes, if you want to do it, cool, but it's going to take you time to research, time to understand, time to implement. And if that's not something that you actually want to be spending your time on, then you aren't going to be able to follow up with it as much as you really should be in order to be able to, like, have a long-term cohesive strategy. And that's where she was at, where it's like, yeah, I mean, I know I could figure this out. It's just, it sucks and I hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That's why different brains exist, because I love it. I love that. My team loves it. And that's what we're here for. Uh, in that, like, yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes you just, we believe in you. Yes, you could figure it out. And there's also a lot of nuance, both on the human design side and the gene key side and on the financial side. There's a lot of nuance. And having that guide that's been through, seen the pitfalls, literally, I've got the flashlight. I can stay right in front of you on the path.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to figure it out yourself. So the second piece, right? That second one, I have to, okay, well, I have to clean things up before someone can see them. Like maybe you have been, let's say you're not just starting a business brand new. Maybe you've been in your business for several years, even 5 years, even 10 years sometimes. I've worked with people who've been in business for decades who never did this foundational financial work. And there's a feeling of definitely guilt and shame that come up, that like I should have done this earlier, and now I have this just like, it feels like a giant mess. Again, going back to the messy house feeling, right? It's like if you've got that room that is just piled to the ceiling with stuff and you're like, I need help with this. I know I can't do it alone, but I feel like I have to do it before I can let someone see it to help me, right? And it doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is a very superficial example, but like washing your hair before you get your haircut. It's like, what's the point? Like, you know, they're gonna do all the things, like particularly for women, right? We go in and we get all these things done to our hair, and it's kind of, well, so what? They've seen something nastier than what your hair is, or what? And I've been guilty of that as well, right? Oftentimes it'll be like, oh, I just at the gym and it's really sweaty and it's really gross. But how much sense does it make to clean myself up when the service that I'm paying for is to clean it up?
Yeah. Right.
Like, yeah, or the people are like, I need to clean my house before the cleaning lady comes over. What? Just no, I understand like getting stuff, and potentially organizing it, but yeah, again, that's the service you're paying for. That's the support that you've sought out from someone else, and to bring that in, and it goes back to the first one, that if you've been in this cycle for, doesn't matter how long, and it kind of comes back to maybe you didn't necessarily know exactly what to set up in order to get yourself to a place of structure, so that as you grow and expand of what we've talked about, so that those things are working for you. You're kind of going back to the first one of like, well, I should be able to figure this out because it's been so long, but let me make it look good, or make look better than I think that it needs to be in order for it to be presented to somebody else. Well, then you're just, again, you're redirecting your energy to this thing that, to quell or to minimize the guilt and shame that you have around it being messy. Well, I mean, finances are messy, but that's it's just part of the relationship, and that you're not in complete control, totally, of your finances, right? I mean, the economy and these things outside of you have influences, so it's not as if that you specifically, in a vacuum, in isolation, did something totally wrong to make it messy. I mean, there's all kinds of influences that come in that, and just recognizing that, one, you're not the first human to do it, right? That's oftentimes the message that I send myself. It's like, Lauren, of the 8 billion people that exist today, and the billions that came before you, you're not the first human to experience this challenge. So just take a hot breath, take a deep minute, just settle yourself, and just go to the person and say, hey, I feel really shameful about this. There's an opportunity to kind of relieve some of that for me. That'd be really great. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I mean, just to all of that, it's not, there is, I can't think of a way that someone could surprise me at this point, right? It's like I've seen so many, so many financial situations. And you are stopping yourself from moving through the transformation by thinking that you have to clean it up first. Because like when you were saying that you're, you know, in the your own experience of life, it's very likely that you just haven't even been exposed to all the things that could be helpful to you. There's no way we can all have all the ideas all the time, right? And so like when you've one of the most important pieces of the process is to acknowledge everything you've done to get where you are, because you took the information that you had and you got here. Wherever here is, you have been working your damnedest, right? You have really worked to get where you are. And the different challenges along the way, like some emotional, some financial, some physical, whatever you have been through, like you're here now, you survived all of it. So, huge high five, huge congratulations. And now, hey, what if we have some other ideas that can help make it even easier? Help make the cleanup easier. The other example that was coming up as you were talking was part of the process, both in the regenerative wealth program and in financial planning. Like a big piece is understanding where your money is going,
Yes.
understanding your spending. So literally, there's a spending plan meeting, both the program, the financial planning, all of it. It's one of the most important aspects that we need to know and understand before we can really plan properly. And so I have to remind people all the time, this is not a what I wish my spending looked like exercise. It's what are you spending exercise with zero judgment,
Right.
none whatsoever. Judgment does not exist in this zone because we need to know what is, not what you think would look better on paper,
Yeah.
right? If it's we're spending $1,000 a month on DoorDash, okay, that's the starting point, right? And if you're like, "Mm, well, if I didn't DoorDash quite so many meals a week, it could, maybe it should be like 250, so I want to put 250." No, no. That's that I have to clean it up before someone can see it, and then it doesn't give us the actual data. Because if we plan off of that data where you're like, "Well, really, I only spend, $6,000 a month on all these things," and then we plan around that, and then really you're spending 10, and you're like, "This plan isn't working." Well, yeah, no shit, because we're not going from real data. So we have to understand what actually is and see the full scope so that we can plan. And if you don't want to spend $1,000 a month on DoorDash and that doesn't feel good to you, that's something that we can also talk about. Like, how would it feel better? What would work better for you? A lot of times, this is just a random tip, look for meal prep services in your area. A lot of times that is literally less money out and healthier food. So you can literally save money, eat healthier, have food on hand. We can bring that bill down. And it doesn't have to, if you don't have time for the cooking, that's a big part of it for a lot of people. Or maybe it is that you're spending your time on all these other things that you are not aligned for you. And when we go through that process of understanding aligning your time, you clean up your time, you can be like, you know what? I do like cooking. It is a part of the day that I enjoy. I would like to have the time to do that again. All right. Well, let's align your time, get you doing the things you should be doing, free up that time for you to cook because it's something that you love. Again, then that bill comes down again. There are so many ways to get to the solution that's correct for you, but it comes from that first, again, the vulnerability,
Mhm.
allowing us to see the whole situation as it is, not as you wish it would be.
Right. And it's important to call out too that as part of our process, we tend not to be cold turkey people either. Back to Hannah's point of $1,000 a month on DoorDash. Oh, okay. I mean, you, you gotta buy food, and $1,000 in today's economy, regardless of how you get your food throughout the month, may or may not be that far off. So, also the opportunity that from a no judgment standpoint of like, okay, it may not necessarily be the amount of money you're spending. Now, you may want to change that or reduce it or whatever the case may be. But back to Hannah's point, it's not about like, oh, all right, well then stop DoorDash immediately. It's more about, okay, uh, the sustenance is your family or is your situation, gaining enough sustenance. Maybe it's just a matter of shifting the sustenance, to Hannah's point of, or to your point of like, hey, you want to spend your time. Well, maybe we shift the time sustenance to increase the sustenance in terms of what you're giving to time. Then you're decreasing, the amount of money that you're spending on that thing, but maybe then also increasing the sustenance in terms of the quality of the food. Again, it may not necessarily be the amount. We look at the whole picture in the idea of what is it that feels really correct for you right now, or what you want to shift. And also recognizing that as we work through these processes together, you might continue to transform in these spaces, and recognizing, hey, that after 3 months, okay, I increase the sustenance of the time I give to food. Maybe that doesn't, maybe I swung the pendulum a little bit too far and I'm giving maybe more than I really want to. And then just having the okay of the back and forth, that it's a not a constant evolution, maybe a consistent evolution, that it's
Mhm.
it's transforming and shifting and moving. And it's not that you're trying something, oh, don't want to do that, oh, throw it up against the wall, no, don't want to do that, no. But we look at the whole picture and support you and saying, hey, maybe it's not about the amount of money, it's the quality of time, of food, of connection, of whatever, and looking at that way. But again, if you do want to reduce the expense, we'll look at that too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And to your point that, um, I wouldn't necessarily say constant evolution, but I know,
Yeah,
for my own family, I mean, like, we go through phases,
yes.
just like my kids will like something one day, and then everyone loves it and it's the best thing in the world. And then the next thing you know, like the next time I make it, they're like, I hate this and I never want to eat it again. I'm like, all right, well, it's just everything is shifting.
Yes.
My husband and his job, like that, his role has changed and shifted, and that has redistribution of roles and responsibilities and agreements is a constant evolution. And sometimes that's the thing that we have to look at as well, is that maybe we do have to clean up some of the agreements that you've had either with yourself or with a partner or with your children, and just reevaluate, where are things working now, where are things not working now. Maybe it worked this way before and that doesn't line up anymore, right? Things have shifted. And that, I mean, again, working with people for years at a time, we go through these evolutions. Things change. You have to know, rediscover in our language, rediscover where you're at now and make that alignment adjustment.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, and then sometimes things will be great for a while and then they'll fall apart and you're like, well, that got messy and it was good.
Yes. But that's why we build the sustainable structures. It's not a flash in the pan one time thing. It's, we look at the whole system and start building the system so that it's sustainable, recognizing that, hey, there are times when we may have to come back and make some adjustments. And that's why we talk a lot about the discovery, alignment, expansion, that you discover, hey, what's working, what's not. We align to make sure that it's at your, as we've talked about, your highest energy, and aligning your time and your money to support that. Then by natural extension, you expand, but as you expand, things shift there too. And you have to rediscover that maybe there's now a redistribution, a reallocation of time, money, energy to fit this expansion in a different way. And just recognizing coming up against a mess is also part of the process. That things are going to get messy again, because you're not in sole control of money. I mean, money is energy. It's an exchange. It's a bargain. It's not something that exists in isolation, and that there's this constant exchange with the internal and the external. Same with time, same with energy. And recognizing that even when you've gone through a messy situation once, doesn't mean you're going to and I mean this in the most powerful way possible, just let me say it, doesn't mean you're going to be able to figure out the next mess alone either, because variables are different, circumstances are different, the bargain of time, money and energy is different. Just recognizing that it's okay. Messes come up, and that we support you in building the structure so that as you expand, it's in the best position possible to expand with you, to rediscover and realign, and recognizing that at times we got to come back to the drawing table and say, okay, this is a situation. Here are all the variables now. The structure is in place, but we might need to shift it.
Yes. Yeah. And to come back to that, I have to clean things up before someone else can see them. It is, um, it is the most important aspect of what I do is create the safe space to be vulnerable. And that, again, you are safe to be all of you. You're safe to fall apart. You're safe to put yourself back together. You are safe. And that's the main, I would say that's one of the biggest things that people have, um, one of the biggest blocks people have
Yes.
is that I'm worried that you'll judge me. I'm worried that you'll think badly of me.
One, we've seen everything. And two, just speaking from my own experience, judgment is a story of my life. Self-judgment is a story, is a deep rooted theme in my life. And I always give the joke of no, judgment doesn't exist here, because I've judged myself way harsher than anything on this planet. And just, there's just this weird thing about my energy. Whereas I look at someone else's life, I'm like, oh my God, they are so strong and resilient and have made it through all these things. When I look at my life, I'm like, oh good God, honey, what are we doing here? Right. And just creating that space, Hannah and I we just have a different way of doing it. Um, but recognizing that no, there is no judgment here, because again, none of us are the first ones to go through it. And how often, and I think this is a huge part of both of our energies, again, we just come at it from a different way. It's like we're not the first to go through it. And how amazing it feels when someone is sitting right beside you, or maybe a little bit in front of you with the flashlight, as you mentioned before, which I think is a great analogy of just saying, hey, we're in this together. And that none of us have ever made it out truly alone, or made it through truly alone. And there is just this beauty of someone being like, sweetheart, totally okay. Everything you've been through, because you only had the tool belt. That's why, hindsight being 2020, it is, because again, we talk about this all the times. You can't know what you're going through while you're going through it. You can only look back and be like, oh, there it is. And so, we recognize that, and we've been through those journeys so many times on our own, and to recognize that judgment doesn't help anything. Whether it's self-judgment or whether it's judgment from other people, we certainly don't want to delay the process because of judgment. That's why it's not a part of the equation.
100%. 100%. And that's what the money story meditations also help with.
Yes.
Who is when the judgy voice comes up, who is that? What's actually happening here? Let's take a little
Yeah.
look-see.
Yeah. Whose voice is that? Oftentimes, it's not even yours.
Right? Most times, yeah. So that leads beautifully into our third, which is, maybe you have recognized that, oh, things are messy and I really need help, but I don't know where to start. And I'm actually scared to start because I don't know how much work it's going to be once I do. Right? That's you've opened the door to that room and you're like, okay, there's a lot of stuff in there and I don't even like I don't know what to tackle first. And that's the other piece of like it's a could be analysis paralysis a little bit, but even more from that energetic standpoint of just like, "Ugh, I'm scared. I'm scared to wade in."
Yeah, it's almost like, again, I'm gonna say this from a very generator space of like, "Oh god, I know I have to give my energy to it, but how much energy is it really gonna take? And how long is it gonna take?" And, yeah, it's kinda like that moment of analysis paralysis, the analogy of when you open up the door and you're just like, uh, okay, I'm just gonna walk away for a little bit because I just need time to process what where to start, how to do this." And, oftentimes I've found that in my own experience is that I know that it's a mess and I know that it needs to be addressed, whether it is my own finances or a messy room, or let's say I'm in the process of some renovation. So it's like I know all of these things need to be done, but it's like I don't I don't, I don't want to start yet. I don't want to give my energy to this yet. But back to what we talked about at the beginning of the episode is that oftentimes part of the transformation is just making the first step. And sometimes the first step is, can you jump in with me? Because that helps me get started. Can you come in? Because that way I can be prodded and I like this support of, okay, I see a step that needs to be done first. Let's just start here and move forward.
Yes, in all of that, I mean, that's where the structure holds you, right? Like if you see I don't know if I like the roller coaster analogy, but I'm gonna go with it because that's what I saw. You're not gonna like go like run the roller coaster course. You're gonna get into the seat and you're buckled in, right? You're gonna have your safety equipment and it's gonna take you, right?
Oh,
You're gonna go on
let's
the
not,
ride.
but let's not forget you have the person checking
Yeah,
to make sure it's safe before you go.
that's true. Everyone like show me, tug your seatbelt, or they'll like
Y-
shake your shoulder thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're safe. You're good.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be
Yes.
fine. But yeah, there'll be some parts that are a little scary to look at, parts that are super fun, parts that are, whipping you around a little like, "Oh, what's happening over there?" And when you get to the end of it, right? If you're a roller coaster lover, you're like, "Oh, either that was really fun or like that I was way more scared about that than I should have been." It wasn't that bad,
I'm back on Earth. I'm
right?
not, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. And that is where, the process going through it, that's, when people recommend us and they're like, "Oh, you can take us through that process." And it's great. And I feel so much better than I did when, before when I was scared to look at it. Um, the event I was at this week, there was a client there that we've been through the financial planning process in particular, which again has a lot of similarities to the regenerative wealth program for a reason. Um, and she just couldn't stop raving about how much better she felt, about how she really was not like so much lack of clarity that turned into like I know what's happening. I know what I can and need to do next. I know that I'm on the right track. And that energetic shift, it came from looking at the data. It came from having the conversations around spending. It came from, like looking through and having at the beginning of the meeting being like, I feel like a little scared to look at all this and like, oh, we got to do all this stuff. And then by the end of the meeting, I always ask, like, okay, how do you feel now? Like, oh, well, that wasn't that bad. That was easier than I thought it was going to be. Like, good.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. Right. It's like, oh,
Lighter.
excellent. Well,
Yes,
yeah.
that's the other thing we hear so much is I feel so much lighter.
Yes.
I feel so much lighter.
Yeah, I'm sitting over here debating whether I talk about this because I don't know that I can do it without crying. Um, so maybe I don't today, but yeah, just someone who I'm going to try actually because I think it's important. And so those listening just recognize that, you know, there's always stuff going on in life, right? For us included. And someone very close to me found herself in a situation to get her finances in order following the very sudden death of her husband. And it was a recommendation to work specifically with Hannah in this particular instance because this person was so connected to me, close to me. So taking out from a conflict of interest kind of situation. And this widow having to take all of this information and try to make sense of it and to gather her late husband's 401ks and investments from a number of different jobs. And, she not necessarily always knowing where the things were and what to look for. But also recognize these different assets that needed to be consolidated and all just imagine when, for those of you who may have been through that situation when all of a sudden you find yourself in a widow or widower position and you didn't have all three of these things come up, right? It's such a mess. I don't know where to start. And I should have figured this out on my own. All three of these situations were a part of the equation. And just to be able to be on the back end of both. So the connection with the client as well as Hannah. And the connection reaching out to me and saying, I cannot thank you enough for uh, giving me the opportunity to work with Hannah because, this is a rough situation. And, you know, being in a position to now be the sole provider for yourself and retirement being somewhat in the distant future and oh my god, how am I going to do this, how am I going to survive on my own, and in this position of sitting down and looking at this person's finances, of recognizing that one, it was a lot, yes, it was messy, but it was a lot smoother than anticipated. And just to provide, Hannah, in working the way that Hannah does it, is providing a sense of relief that looking at the big picture, going through a plan and setting a target for retirement and allowing this client to see, oh, holy shit. I'm going through so much internally behind the scenes, but now I have this sense of relief, and support that my situation, while absolutely terrible, is, when from a financial standpoint, not as terrible as I once thought it was, because I took the time to invest my literal energy, time, and money with someone who has the skill set, the mindset, and the temperament to allow this really shitty situation feel a little bit better.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, that's a really good example of just how hard it can feel, how heavy it can feel, how, like you said, all three of those being present in that one situation, 100% true. And to feel like you have to do it alone in any capacity is like, oh, sweet one, no. Like it's too much to hold on your
Right.
own with
Right.
all the other things going on. And yeah, I mean, literally it is a matter. We did, again, same process.
Yes.
A lot of the same things happening, and taking it one structured step at a time. It's like, okay, I know what the next thing we can do is. And here's the next step, and here's the next step, and here's the next step. Till you get to the other side of it and you're like, okay, yes. And to the point of that is also very relevant in Expansive CEO and X Squared. It's everywhere of, hey, you know what? Yeah, your needs are going to be met. Like the money that you need is here. And what now do you want? What else? If you could imagine what's next that feels like a fun thing, like something that you desire, what would that be? Because guess what? That's okay too.
Mhm.
And that up level of like, oh, it's not just like I can meet my needs and scrape
Mm,
by.
right.
It's like that's also not the life that we're trying to help you live. We want to get you to the place where it's I get to actually experience life in a way that is full of joy, that is full of adventure or excitement or um, softness or silliness. Like, what's the thing for you? And let's build that. 'Cause it's not just about how do I have just enough?
Yes.
How do we that expansive space of there's not only are you doing like more than enough, you have the ability to do what you truly want as well. Yeah, and the transformation on that other side is it's the honor of my life, truly, to be able to help someone feel that sense of peace and clarity and then to stay on that road. Because again,
Mhm.
like we said, things change, situations change, your life changes. And so there's, we stay in it, stay in
Yes.
it together.
Yeah, and, building a structure enough that it supports, but isn't restrictive in some way, and recognizing that life literally can change in the blink of an eye, and that the structures are in place to support you even through some of the what seems to be insurmountable situations, and that can be anything in life, but that's kind of the crux of it is that we build structure. What is it that I used that I build flexibility within a framework and allowing you as you come through this, whether your situation is, it's so messy, or what's the order we went in? I feel like I should be able to do this by myself, or I why am I having such a hard time remembering just something we talked about 5 minutes ago? It's a mess and I feel like I have to clean it up myself, or I know that it's a mess. I just don't know where to start. And, the beauty of, creating such a framework that's flexible enough to meet you at any of those instances or any combination of those things because they can all exist at one time or two can exist at one time. And knowing that there is true love and compassion to support through that, and recognizing that no matter what happens, the structure is strong enough to survive, as are you, and it's flexible enough to move, as are you.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good uh, addition to the conversation because that has also been that's another thing that people have experienced before and it's like the rigid structure that someone else has told them they have to live by doesn't work. Or it maybe it did work in, some other setting and now their life it just that rigid structure doesn't work anymore, but they don't know. They don't have that the understanding of how to shift it, how to make it work for them. And that, like we're talking about going if you've gone from corporate to entrepreneurship, right? Those corporate structures aren't aren't available when you're starting your business from scratch or even if you have been in business for a few years. There are other things available that you wouldn't have had in a corporate setting either. right? Like all of these things, it's um, a whole different game, different different set of rules, a different set of, pieces to play with. And you aren't supposed to know all of it at any given time. Again, it's too much to hold in your brain.
Yes. Yes.
That's why, when I talk about, when I, um, you know, I help people establish their business finances and all of that, but I'm not a tax preparer. I'm not a bookkeeper. That's a whole other thing. I can run my own QuickBooks, but that's about it. Like,
Mhm.
I can do my own taxes. I'm not going to do everyone else's taxes. There's not, I
Yeah.
don't have the breadth of knowledge there. And I know, right? Like, it's like we are not meant to do all of these things for ourselves.
Yeah, and actually that came up before, and it was something that, you had said, and I don't remember at what point in the conversation, but, part of the modern society is that because so much information is available at any given moment from any different source, we've convinced ourselves that, "Oh, it's out there, so let me just go find it and I can piece it all together." And this we've convinced ourselves that, to go do that, and then what we do is we fill our brains with all of this information that we think we should know. Then we fill our time trying to still do all the things that we were already doing in addition to this, and then we overfill our energy because we're giving it to everything versus being nuanced in terms of, oh, it really should be, and I use should, intended to be directed in these particular things. And I always come back to the analogy of swimming in this. Legitimately almost every single day have to remind myself of this analogy of, like, Lauren, you lived in the world. Why do you not continue to remember the importance of, I didn't swim everything. I mean, I could. I could swim everything. I can swim any event you need me to swim. Well, maybe not so much anymore, but at
At one
one
point.
point I could do anything. That doesn't mean I did. I was a distance swimmer. I did to swim the 50. I would ugh. Yes, I could do it, but I didn't ever want to do it. But just remembering that we are all here for a very, very specific contribution to the world. And it's actually a lot smaller than we think it should be, or at times want it to be, because we've convinced ourselves that the more stuff we fill in our bag or our tool belt, well, the more valuable we are. I might challenge that and say it's actually the less that you do, and you get very targeted and very specific and very nuanced in what you contribute to the world. That is your genius. And just let the rest of us do our stuff and support you in filling in all the other. I hate to say filling on the holes. I like to think all of us as little puzzle pieces. We've got the extensions to give to other people, and we've got the little cutouts to be filled and connected by other people. So it's kind of like we help you figure out what's your puzzle piece, and let us have our extensions connect to your hooks. And then together we create a structure and flexibility that works for you.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that. And I wanted to kind of wrap this conversation up with the just the and we're going to talk more about this in the future as well, is that we really are, the expansive CEO, the regenerative wealth program, it's part of an ecosystem. It is not one standalone thing necessarily. Um, sure, it can be. Yes. Like, if you need a human design, if you need to understand like who you are, human design reading, get started. We have those pieces in place to help you understand, to get on the path of like, where do we go next? But it's all in service to that overarching goal of helping you feel and have a peaceful and regulated relationship with money, and creating the structures and systems for your business and personal life to support that long term. That's the whole ethos of Expansive CEO and X Squared. So they come together, they work in concert, and we have different areas to lock in or to plug in depending on where you're at in your journey, right? So if it is that space of the regenerative wealth program is, we're going to help you transform your relationship with money and transform the systems and structures you have in place for your business so that you can really expand. The initial question that was meant to answer was, how do I get to work with you in X squared? How do I get there? Expansive CEO, the regenerative wealth program, is the answer to that. We help you put all of the systems in place that you need so that you can learn how to pay yourself properly from your business, extract the money from your business, start to save, start to put it away, start to create more income than you need in this moment. And then that flows up, right? That then says, okay, now I have more income than I need. Where do I put it? I have so much money saved. What do I do with it? Then that flows up into X squared. And if you're already there, if you've already got more income than you need, if you've already got assets that you're like, I don't know if these are being managed properly. If you have these questions, like, I want that full support, we have that entrance. That's X squared. And so this ecosystem, like just talking about, like, again, financial peace and regulation and the systems and structures for your business and personal life to make it work long term. That's both.
It's that simple. It's not that easy, but it's simple.
It's simple. And that's, yes,
Yes.
communicating simply.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, great job. It's all about it truly is about meeting you where you are or meeting a client where they are. Is the idea of, hey, you want to figure out how to get to a point to manage more than you know really what to do with. Start with the regenerative wealth program. Start to build the structures. Build it so that as you expand, you can transition to a different part of the ecosystem. Is like, okay, now you've got the assets. What do we do with that? How do we build a more robust and detailed plan to support you of kind of looking at the bigger picture? And as your assets grow and expand, then looking really kind of at the investment side of how do you start making that money work even more abundantly for you, and just continue down the line of recognizing that no matter where you are in the journey of whether it's starting with regulating your relationship with money up to, okay, I feel regulated, I've got all the assets over here, what do I actually do with them? Well, we meet both sides of that spectrum and at points along the way.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So if you have questions, if you've been listening and you're like, oh, I've been feeling one or two or all three of those at different points, that's what we're here for. Like, we would love to talk to you. Jump on our calendar, have an exploration call. It could even be of, you're the right people. Just where in the ecosystem do I start? And we have so many options. Not so many, it's an overwhelming amount of options.
Right.
But we have options for where is the right plugin for you. Where do you start so that you can follow along the whole roadmap? So,
Yes, and they all revolve around discover, align, and expand, right?
always.
That's the crux of everything. It's just a matter of where you are. What process are we taking to support you through that?
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So if you have questions, we love questions. Um, and if you didn't see on YouTube, we have, a few listener Q&A. Go check it out. The latest one, hold on, let me look at it. The latest one was all about generators. Are you doing it says generators, are you doing human design wrong? No, you're not doing it wrong.
No, you're not.
Spoiler alert. That's a YouTube
Yeah.
algorithm thing, right? Give it a spicy question. But, little short snippets of how can we support you in understanding even better without knowing you, right? That's when you come in, we can do this specifically for you, but we love to get those questions that, when I hear someone ask a question that's like, well, that's the 47th time I've heard this question. So we should probably answer this for everyone. We love to get those. So go check it out. Go like, subscribe. If you haven't liked or subscribed or rated this podcast yet, we would love to have that support. It really, really helps the algorithm and pushing out to other people who can benefit from this information. We love you and we will see you next week.
Bye, friends.